Hello and welcome to A FAB Journey. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind A FAB Journey. And yes, lots of cobwebs this week. After not playing much for the past sort of 3 weeks, it was good to get back to our local Armory and to actually play some Flesh and Blood in the Flesh and Blood. But there were lots of cobwebs from not playing. I really could do with playing a bit more, to be honest. Or maybe that's just even reading or going through what cards are in my deck to remind myself what cards are in there. Look, this week it feels like it's lots of little things rather than one big thing, so let's get into it. First up, news. This week, LSS gave us an update about the World Tour points for 2026. Now, normally this would be filed into the not relevant for your average player bin, and most of it was, to be honest. So if you want to read that, head over to the FAB website, because most of it, I say, isn't really that relevant to people like me. However, they did tell us we're going to get a new type of event called Showdown. And they said in there, that's a story for after the keynote in Philadelphia, i.e. as to what it is. So they told us what they were going to get them, but they didn't tell us what one was. So we're going to have to wait on that. Of course, that means that we get to do some speculation and have some fun. So I did actually write up recorded a piece on what I think the showdown is going to be. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes, so you can go over and see what I think a showdown is going to be. Emptying the wallet. You know, I do really need to get recordings of each of these titles for each of these sections to play. Dear, for the weekly update. Look, as far as spending at my local game store went this week, it was under control. That's cool. Two of us entered the Armory, so my daughter and I. So that was $12, and I also used $2 to get my $2 of loyalty points that Gateway Games do. That you can build up to get an Ultra Pro Mini Snap. Yes, well, look, I've broken the promise I made to myself that I would not be buying individual cards, and I have splashed the cash on a card. But we'll talk about that in the cardboard section later on, shall we? Rather than talking about that now. But say from a spending point of view at the local game store, just the $12 plus those $2 of loyalty points. So yes, managed to keep it under control this week, which is kind of good. So let's get on to the Armory, because as I say, we've not played for a couple of weeks or a few weeks. So only played once in the last 3 weeks. So yes, it was definitely, if it was not running at 100%. My first game was up against Lee, and that's the one that's being shown in the on the video there if you are watching the video rather than listening to the podcast. Look, we've played he plays Puffin, and we've played each other a number of times before. And look, basically, it's a race. Who is going to kill the other one first? Because he doesn't block, and I don't enjoy blocking. I find it's much more fun to do big hits. And so look, with Pummel and some of Palladius' auras, I got some real big hits off, which was kind of cool. But the card that really did save me was in the palm of your hand, because I did get some all blue and all red hands, which were not so great. Let's be honest. But in the palm of your hands, it really did help me with that, because I did actually end up what's the word I'm looking for here, drawing an extra 4 cards with that. So that really did help with that. So yes, that was it. I got my opening win, which was fantastic. A bit frustrating for Lee, I think, probably with me, with my head in my hands going, what am I doing, a lot of the time, and then also losing because things just did come together, which was kind of cool. Next up, I was playing Anthony, who was who had Victor Goldmane. So it was 2 Guardians going head to head in their plays. Let's be honest, isn't your kind of normal Guardian. Now in this one, I didn't do myself any favors at all, because in the opening hand, I went and arsenaled a blue Act of Glory. That's a 4-cost card, and it's a blue one. You know, blue one you should be pitching. You should not be playing. So it really was a silly idea to do that. I was too focused on getting my hand empty and drawing 4 cards, let's be honest, rather than thinking actually how am I using my arsenal properly. And then that just got stuck in my arsenal for the entire game, clogged up my arsenal, and I couldn't use it. Anthony was really helpful with a couple of things where I was just making mistakes. He's like, look, Paul, you should do this at this point. Even so, he was easy going to win this one, because someone who knows what they're doing, it, someone who is making error after error. There you go. And he did tell me afterwards, look, I need to block more. I didn't. I let him get ahead on life, and he could just use life as a resource later on. Didn't have to worry about blocking me, even when I did get big hits. So, yeah, more of a controlled game plan is what he said I should be doing, which was good advice there. Next up then, a game I definitely could have won if I, yes, hadn't made quite so many mistakes. Look, this was up against Royden, who was playing Lyeth. As my daughter said, because she had a buy in this one, there were 11 people this week, so different people had buys. So she had a buy in this one, and she said that I was playing uniquely and not in a complimentary way either. Yes, my first attack was with Crush of Confidence, or with Crush Confidence. Which what does that do? That on hit is to remove the hero abilities from the card, which against most heroes is a good thing. Against Lyeth, where actually his hero's abilities are his disadvantage, i.e. half attack and half defense, he suddenly became a 5-card per hero without all those disadvantages. So yes, real silly thing. I should really have swapped that out for Crush the Weak, because he plays lots of small attacks, and that would have stopped him attacking for one round if that got through. So look, real cobwebs there. From just doing bad. So I also wasn't that lucky. I did get some full red hands as well. But look, I didn't help myself in this matchup on this one. It was good though that I did manage to get Colossal Bearing to work for the first time, and I did destroy his Spring Tunic. So that was cool, even if we were sort of only about 2 or 3 rounds from the end. So I'm not sure whether he'd actually even activated it. But even so, yep, good fun. A game I definitely could have won. Would I have won? I don't know, but I definitely could have won, and I didn't give myself a chance really. Last up, I faced James with Gravy. Now, look, I know how this one is supposed to go. All right, with Gravy, I am supposed to I'm supposed to sort of kill his allies, and then basically hit, and then once he's got through all his allies, basically beat him up. But that's not what I did, because I had some big attacks, and I thought, you know what? Why do I want to waste a 16 or 18 or whatever attack on an ally when I can kill Gravy himself? Yeah, again, a mistake that meant I wasn't going to win this one. Would I have won it even if I'd done the right thing? Maybe not, but at least I had a chance on that one. So 1 win, 3 losses did mean I didn't finish high enough to get a gem pack. My daughter did even worse. She ended up with I put on here she ended up with 3 losses because she had the buy as well. So we both had 3 losses, but I did manage to get a win in there. Clearly, we both need to play a bit more to get ourselves back in the swing of things. So cardboard. Well, look, having only got the 2 high seas booster packs, we didn't really pull anything of any fun or anything interesting through there. But I did buy myself a Spring Tunic. So yes, $200 for the Spring Tunic. There. Look, when I got into playing this, 13 weeks ago, whatever it was, I did say that I was not going to buy individual cards, and I was going to trade for them and get them that way. But let's be honest, there's no way you're ever trading for a Spring Tunic. It's just not going to happen. And these cards have this card does maintain its worth, because let's be honest, this one has been reprinted. Look, it's been Welcome to Wraith Unlimited, Crucible of War Unlimited, History Pack 1, Bright Lights, Welcome to Wraith Unlimited revised as well as a couple of organized play stuff. So it's been this one has been printed quite a lot of times, and it's still maintained its worth. So even if we do get another reprint of this, which I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, look, I can't see it losing its value. So I do think that even look, I've spent 200 on this, yes, but I do think I can get that money back if I need or want to sell it. I think I'll be able to get it back. So will I be buying lots of individual cards? No. If another one of these comes up, will I? Well, I'll look at my bank account, and probably yes, to be honest. But other cards, probably not on that side of things. So it's not going to be a change of how I go about doing this, because we do need 2 of these, one for me and one for my daughter, because so we were arguing as to who should have it. I saying she should, and she saying I should. So, but I think we'll share it at different times with that one. Meta matters. So look, I forgot 2 weeks ago to collect the meta, and I've obviously missed a couple of weeks. It's been like a month since we've actually done the since I've looked at our local meta. Now, over on Reddit, I've seen a lot of people, a bunch of posts and things about the meta getting stale, and a lot of people have comments in there agreeing that it's kind of stale or that it's not changing. Now, look, I think the meta's in a really good place at the moment, to be honest with you. We had 11 heroes across those 11 decks, so we had no double ups of heroes this week. We had we had a Gravy, Ira, Florian, Pallades, Lyeth, Puffin, Slippy, KO Armed and Dangerous, Vincent, Victor Goldmain, and Verdant. So not even a Syndra in there, even though everyone's sort of she's the top dog is Syndra. Yep, no Syndra in there. We did have the Verdant and Gravy, the other two at the top there with Syndra. But I say we didn't even have a Syndra in there for that one. So look, I think the meta is in a great place at the moment, where lots of people can play lots of different heroes. That it is very diverse, and you're not always playing the same matchup every single time, which is kind of good. Maybe at the top end of things, it's not as diverse, but for the average player, I think it's in a good place, to be honest with you. So looking forward, what is coming up? Well, we've got Worlds coming up, haven't we? And so let's be honest, that's going to fill the news cycle mainly for this week. And we do have the LSS's keynote presentation. Now that's at 1:30 p.m. on Friday, New Zealand time, I believe. Having done the time conversion from Philadelphia. So look, that's a reasonable time for us here in New Zealand. So I'll try and sit down and watch that if I can. We should get more information about the next release, which is codenamed Pen. We'll perhaps have a better idea of what's going on next year. We might hear a bit more about Showdown, but look, they did say after the keynote presentation they'd tell us more about Showdown. So we'll see whether it actually gets mentioned in there or not. So look, depending on what's said, perhaps I'll have a reaction piece after that. But I'll be honest, I'm really kind of busy at the end of this week with real life stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see whether I can have time to record a reaction to the to the keynote speech, or whether I put it in my weekly post for next week. But carry on playing Flesh and Blood, and try and do it in the Flesh and Blood, folks, rather than online. It's much better to mix with people and keep an eye out. Don't forget to go back and have a look at what I think Showdown's going to be. So we'll probably be hearing soon as to what it actually is, but we'll be able to see whether I got it right or not, or actually myself and James on our local message group that really came up with it. So yes, have a cracking week, stay safe, and thanks everybody. Oh, like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of wonderful stuff as well.